Old cloud done rolled up over here. Hopefully a lightning bolt don't come out and pop it. Today's lunchtime walk vlog. I'm choosing a different area to walk on. Over here by the Airborne School Barracks and the area where the week 2 would be in jump school. And that's what they call Tower Week. And I'm going to walk around the running trail, a running track that goes around the Tower Week training area. There's all kind of signs around the training areas, you know, warning people, do not trespass, do not enter the training area. I might be in the wrong here, but I am a civilian that's assigned to the 1st Battalion 507th Parachute Infantry Regiment, and that is the airborne school. So if somebody come out here yelling at me, I'm just gonna say, hey man, I'm in the 507. I'm parachute maintenance out here. So hopefully that'll be enough. But anyways, let me flip around. And here's the 250-foot jump towers, the Mighty Ungawa, as they call them. And nowadays, I don't even think it's not even a requirement to jump from these towers during jump school. But the original intent was to train the paratrooper during a descent on how to control the parachute and how to land. And but for them to actually operate these towers, the weather has to be favorable, and the winds has to be going in the right direction, or it'll blow the jumper right back into the structure. So a lot of times there isn't favorable weather for operation of the jump tower, so it's not a requirement. But around on the other side, I'll show you the 34-foot towers, and they got a bunch of them. You know, that's practicing the exit of the aircraft. So they have those in ground week and tower week. So I'll try to swing the camera around and give you a peek at those when I get there. But today's topic, I was listening to a worship sermon on the way to work, Dr. David Jeremiah, and he was talking about, you know, the wide gate and the narrow gate. And the wide gate, many people go through it, and it's the path to destruction. And the narrow gate is the difficult path that leads to life. And just to try to tie that into, you know, the message for today, or tie that into this community of vloggers here. It's not always easy just to pick up the camera, hit record, and talk about something meaningful. And you know, it's difficult. I know, because I hem-hawed around for 5 or 6 years worrying about what to talk about once the red light come on. But yeah, man, it's tough. I'd say if you find yourself in that situation, just enter the narrow gate, man. Do the hard stuff. Pain promotes growth, and the hard things are what makes you grow. So yeah, man, get out there and, you know, hit the exercise trail. Do some exercise. Work on your health physically and mentally. Talk about it. Let it out. Explore your thoughts. Explore your feelings. And a lot of times you'll uncover things about yourself that you knew that were there, but were a little bit deeper than your conscious. So yeah, man, get out there and do it. Here's one that this one was used as a bit of an amusement ride. There used to be 4 towers out here, and I think what I read in maybe 1954, a tornado come through here and knocked one down. But that one I just showed you years ago, it was set up for an amusement ride for, you know, people coming out here visiting Fort Benning. But But, you know, the way of the world, everything's too dangerous, so they shut that down. So now they have 2 operational towers. Well, I wouldn't even say they're operational. They've been doing some extensive work on them lately over the last year or so, trying to get them, I guess, the foundations reinforced. Maybe looks like they've gone through and stripped the paint, repainting them, refinishing them. So there's a lot of work goes into maintaining these things. And how it works is a cabling system. And the cable comes down, and they have specific parachutes that hook to a support ring, and they hoist the jumper up, and when it gets to the top, it lets them loose, and they fall freely under canopy to the ground. So, but yeah, if the weather ain't right, they'll drift right back into the tower, and that'll be a whole mess of worms that they got to straighten out. And if my focal length seems a little bit close, it's because I've trimmed down my vlog system here. I took the extension pole off, and I just got a little tripod on the bottom, so that way if I need to, I can shut down and stick it in my pocket and you know, kind of get it out of sight if I need to. So hopefully I ain't too close and y'all seeing the fleas in my beard or boogers in my nose. Over here is what they call the mock-ups. You know, it's a mock airplane, and through the mock-ups there you can see the actual decommissioned fuselages that they actually use for more realistic training. Over here, that's the swing landing trainer, where they you know, it's they jump off this platform and they swing, and then the instructor has a mechanism that cuts them loose so they hit the ground. And it's just more training on the PLF, the parachute landing fall, because that's where most of your injuries happen during a parachute jump, is you hit the ground and break a leg or something. So they teach them how to land. Balls of feet, calves, thighs, where you lat, but they say the pull-up muscle. And you never want to do a feet-ass head. You want to kind of create an arc shape and hit all 5 points of contact, and do it without getting hurt. And underneath that lean-to right there is called the suspended harness. We always call it the suspended agony, because you get in the harness and you hook up and you're just hanging there. And now they got platforms. Back in my day, they didn't have platforms. They just your jump buddy had to lift you up to get you hooked up onto the suspension system. And we call it suspended agony because you're just hanging there in a harness. And also it was a training apparatus to teach you how to, what we call, pull a slit. You know, pull your risers to try to tilt your parachute in the direction that you want to go. But realistically, there wasn't much drive in those parachutes. But it all turned out to be a big lie, because in that training apparatus, you were actually pulling your body weight up on the risers, when in actuality, when you're under canopy, you're pulling the parachute down to you. And it was a big surprise when I reached up and grabbed my risers and pulled a slit, and I like to pull it all the way down to my feet. So it was a big surprise. There's one of the 34-foot towers right there. And what that does is it's simulating exiting the aircraft in the first 4 seconds of exiting the aircraft. And it's, you know, practicing the body position as you exit the aircraft, and being prepared to pull your reserve in case your main parachute doesn't open. So a lot of training goes into this. It's quite a simple process, but you know, to kind of build that repetition and muscle memory into you, you know, it's 2 weeks of doing it over and over and over before the 3rd week of jump week. And there's they jump out of the tower and you slide down, or you hooked up to a cable system there, and you drift down to this mound right there. You got people over there that kind of help lift you up to unhook your harness from the cable system, cables and pulleys. There's a C-47 Skytrain, Boston Boomerang. And there's this is where they do the airborne school graduations most of the time. If they get all their jumps done in time, they on the last week on Friday, they'll have a graduation ceremony out here at the airborne walk, and there's a bunch of monuments and stuff, a few aircraft. You just saw the Boston Boomerang. There's a heck, I can't remember the nomenclature, but it's a flying box car, and they got an old C-130 down here. But here's the airborne walk. And all the wings, military free fall, halo, air assault. We make fun of air assault. There's a Pathfinder torch, first in, last out. That's a glider patch. We don't do that. That's your basic airborne patch. Oh, look at here. This is what I was, a parachute rigger. We're at the top of them all. And this whole thing is shaped like a parachute. And if I can find a picture of an aerial view of it, it's shaped like airborne wings. But, let's see. We led the way. Parachute test platoon, June 1940. But, yeah, here's let's see, get up here and get a view of it. This is, the posts that support the cables that the jumpers slide down after jumping the 34-foot tower. There's the 250-footer. There's several 34-foot towers out here. And there's another training area for the first week of jump school, ground week, and there's some more training over there, but they have 34-foot towers over there. It's where you get introduced to the the rigging of equipment and exiting the aircraft, which the 34-foot tower. Here is the flying box car. I don't want to walk in front because I'm already going this way, so I can't read what the oh, here we go. Here's something I can look at over here. A lot of these aircraft seem pretty small till you get right up on them. Then they look pretty big. C-119. Some of the nicknames they give these planes. $19, Korea, Vietnam Air Force, 1949 and 1974. And I'm sure there's been a lot of these, in operation that would have, even through my time. I came in the 90s, came in 91 and got out in 2000, but that would have been a sweet jump right there. The back of that thing open up, you just jump out of it. And there's the workhorse of the military right there, C-130 Hercules. I have jumped out of many of these things. And they just keep updating this aircraft. Keep changing things, making it better. Nowadays, they don't run the 4-blade props. They have some more blades on it. Aircraft sounds totally different. They've stretched the fuselage on some of them. They call it the J model. And they'll hold about, 80, 100 jumpers, something like that. Because when I was in 64 was what we'd fill it up with. And I think even back then, the old models, the combat load was 80. But now the J models with the stretched fuselage, I think they might do 100. I don't know. They did all that mess when I got out of the Army, so I'm not sure what the things are nowadays. One of the things I thought about the other day, whenever we come on here in YouTube and talk about things, it made me question whether or not people would wonder, do I have anybody I can go talk to? And the answer is absolutely yes. I do have family and friends that very connected with. I even talked to my wife about some of this stuff, but I don't want to carry on too much because I don't want to show any signs of weakness, like I'm starting to crumble or I can't handle things. I need to make sure that I display my strength and commitment and compassion to what I'm doing in my life. But in a way, it's nice to come here and express to you guys, just to talk to people that I don't see every day, and just get some reflection and insight, from somebody that's not right here in the midst of it with me. It's I do have plenty of family and friends I can bounce all this stuff off of, but I enjoy the creative aspect of it by putting it here on the camera and then going back and listening to it again. And it, like I said earlier, man, it just helps you reveal things about yourself that might be buried a little bit deep, and expose that stuff, and you can lay it out, analyze it, work on it, and just improve and get better. So really appreciate y'all starting this community, so that way I can be a part of it and explore my own emotions and stuff. So appreciate y'all.